Hey, freedom fighter, and welcome. The video that you're about to watch has actually been made for clients who are struggling with binge eating and bulimia. So if that doesn't describe you, don't worry. You might hear me making references to binge or purge during the video. But if you're just a gray area disordered eater, this will apply for you as well. The key to this video is to not go into any kind of big family meal or family feast where you know it's a danger zone, unprepared. From now onwards, I want you to just take a moment to have a strategy for yourself before you head into the danger zone. And in this video, I give you about 7 or 8 really actionable tips that I'd love you to use. Remember, I don't make these videos just purely for entertainment, although I love to entertain you. I make them because I really want you to take action. So I'd love you in the comments to write down the one action from this video that you're going to take on your next big family meal. And I would love to get your feedback on how things went for you. So this video actually came right at the end of a 12-week course that I do with clients struggling with binge eating and bulimia. And it comes at the end because family feasts, make no doubt, are about the most challenging thing that you can go into. So I really want to emphasize that if you have a big meal tonight, say a buffet style meal this evening with a bunch of your family, and you know that's just a trigger fest, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. You're going to deploy one or all of these strategies and you will make progress for sure. It is the most challenging thing you can do. So if you don't come out with flying colors, don't worry. You will, at the very minimum, you will learn something. Enjoy the video. I'd love to hear your feedback. And if you'd like any further support, just to go to my website, helenbennett.co, and you can book a call with me there or jump into some of the free resources. Without further ado, get stuck into the video. In this video, we're going to talk all about having a good strategy for those really stressful meals when there's a ton of family members coming around, or maybe you're going to their house. And I want you to just be feeling well prepared and ready to take on the challenge. And a challenge it is, because I don't know about you guys, but there's nothing like family to bring up a lot of old stuff. It's within family systems that we developed many of the beliefs that led us into disordered eating in the first place, which is not to say that we need to spend time back there and dig up all the old stuff and bring it all out again and blame everybody around us. Not at all. But realistically, that's where this all originated for most people. And that's okay. The question is not why did it happen, but what now? Now that you're in a journey of recovery and you're developing a new, exciting relationship with food and with your body, wherever you are, I would bet that getting together with family has its moments. And for some of you, it can be really extremely stressful and anxiety provoking. So I wanted to just create a video where we look at all the potential pitfalls and we really get clear about what now. What are you going to do now that you have this new way of being, or you're practicing a new way of being in the world? Recovery, make no doubt, is about turning the whole shebang around. Behaviors need to change and beliefs need to change. And the one area where there might be a lot of resistance to both of those changes is in a family environment. So let's dive in. I'm going to say this again at the end because it's the one thing I want you to take away from this video, even if you forget everything else. I want you to take time with family from now onwards to be present, to really be there. Uncomfortable or wonderful, doesn't really matter. We only get so much time with our family. And I know family is difficult, but we are guaranteed nobody's tomorrow. We're not even guaranteed the next 10 minutes. So it's really important that from now onwards, the what now is, I choose to be present and here and enjoy and savor my time with them. Time. It's something that we lost so much of in the disorder, and it's something that we're slowly reclaiming. The other thing we're reclaiming is presence, the ability to be there, fully there, not wondering about the next meal, not worrying about the next binge urge, just there. So this is your challenge whenever you're having a family meal, is to get better and better at being present and really allowing yourself to enjoy the valuable time you have with them. So I'm going to say it again at the end because it's that important. And if you forget everything else, just keep bringing yourself back to presence. First up, let's just come up with a few practical ideas for preparing meals if you're the host, or being at somebody else's house if you're not. If you're hosting a big family get-together, First things first, you want to prioritize your recovery. So while you're prepping the food, if you're somebody who tends to nibble subconsciously, wear a mask. Doesn't matter how silly it, looks. You're getting used to radical self-acceptance, and you're going to wear a mask and look like a bit of a banana, and people are going to have a say about it. Let them. You're prioritizing your recovery, right? Secondly, pre-allocate somebody else to pack the food away and do the dishes. If you're prioritizing your recovery, you must already have a plan of who you're going to ask to do that. And if that gives you the heebie-jeebies, you're not alone. But I promise you, what's far worse than somebody putting the wrong things in the wrong Tupperware and all the rest is having an eating disorder. So the best thing you can do when you're still feeling you're struggling around certain foods is allocate somebody else to do it, especially if you've made the meal. There's nothing wrong as the host with allocating. Auntie Joe, Uncle Bob, Cousin Fred, please can you do the dishes for me this evening? That would be wonderful. I'm going to kick back and relax. And usually people do actually offer, but I don't know about you, but I tend to be a bit of a martyr. No, I'll clean all the dishes and I'll pack everything away. And of course, that used to be a complete disaster because what I was actually doing was trying to create a time and a place where I could secretly binge the rest of the food and munch on half the leftovers. And yes, to this day, a little bit pedantic about how I like the fridge. But I was a chef, so fair enough. But if you know that packing away all the food and cleaning up the kitchen has got everything to do with wanting to carry on eating and binging, do not put yourself in that predicament. Rather pre-allocate who's going to do all of that, or at the very least, when the meal's done, sit back, relax, enjoy, chat, engage, be present. And somebody, I'm sure at some point, will get up and do those dishes for you and pack the food away. And if they don't, leave it, do it tomorrow. I know that sounds horrific. It is not worth your recovery to have to put yourself in that very dangerous environment. Because usually when we have indulged, or when there's family around, there's a lot going on, and it can be much more difficult to get through a binge urge if you're handling food at that time. I know a lot of you will know what I'm talking about. So as soon as the meal is done, your job is not to try and get busy. Your job is to stay put. And if you're somebody who doesn't really struggle with binging, but you struggle with purging, your job is to stay seated, get engaged, really get into that conversation. And when you notice that desire to purge or binge is coming up, you just move your focus back. So allocating somebody else to clean up, pack away, sort out, you can deal with the fallout tomorrow, but you do not want to be putting yourself in that predicament now. That's a big one, yeah? Now, if you're going to somebody's house, they're making the meal, they're the hosts, then again, similar kind of story. I want you to help as much as you want in the pre-prep, help as much as you want in laying the tables and setting things up and building the fires or whatever you need to do. But when that meal is over, it's time to kick back and let somebody else do the rest. Every part of you is going to want to volunteer and be a hero. This is probably not the time, unless you're feeling super safe and there's a lot of people around you. Do not go in there alone to be a hero and look good. If you feel worried that people think you're being lazy, let them think you're being lazy. They're going to have their judgments about it. You are actually prioritizing your recovery. In both cases, whether you're the host or going to somebody else's house, just like going out for dinner with mates, I would absolutely encourage you to not arrive starving to the meal, but to make sure that you're checking in with your tummy all day and having a little to eat before the main meal. It's so much easier to make really good decisions when we're faced with a big feast, when we've got not too much hunger going on, than it is to do it under a space of starving. So yeah, the bad news is maybe you don't get to enjoy as much of that food as you would have liked to on a much more hungry tummy. But again, far rather have that kind of better quality problem than being in a situation where you arrive starving and you just find yourself losing control. So the pre-eating suggestion that we made in the video about meals out with mates and dates, same thing, really solid idea. Do not arrive to the main meal absolutely ravenous. It's incredibly dangerous. Now, when you're having meals with families, big feasts, chances are in early recovery, this might be a minefield of binge urges. I want you to take these binge urges that are coming up now that you've done a lot of the skill development, now that you're really starting to understand where the binge urges are coming from. which of those binge urges that you're feeling are just pure habit? You're used to binging when you're with the family. There's not a lot of emotional charge around it. There's not a lot of energy around it. It's just habitual. And which binge urges came up specifically or directly as a result of something somebody said or something somebody did, and your interpretation of what that meant for you and all the headrooms that spiraled around it. This is a great opportunity for you to recognize that a binge urge is probably telling you, if it's not a habit, it's probably telling you something needs fixing, healing, working on. What's the emotion? Okay, let me let it in. Let me look at it. Let's ask good questions. What's the action I have to take? So binge urges are actually really quite, if you can see them this way, they can be really exciting because it means, hey, oh, there's something that needs work. Okay, good. Now I get to do the work on that. So while these meals are going to be a lot of mental stuff, maybe at first, that's okay. As I said, it's an opportunity to practice all the skills. And for your first few meals with families, now that you're in recovery, it might be a lot of effort, a lot of mental work. You might have to struggle through some really big binge urges. And boy, are you going to reward yourself later. And that's okay, because they are really difficult situations, predominantly because so much of the origin of eating disorders tends to happen in the family environment. So all the triggers are there, all the thoughts are there, all the headrooms are there, all the beliefs are there. And you're in this process of undoing them all and doing something new. Not why, but what now? Of course, you're going to be practicing giving yourself radical permission, checking in with your tummy when the food's there. What do I feel like? What do I really want? What would make me comfortable? What would I really enjoy? And if you plan to indulge, allow yourself that indulgence. Let go of the guilt. So check in with your tummy. You've got two options at that point. When the meals comes or you're dishing up, right, here we go. Time to enjoy it. And then if I hear that stop signal, I've got some choices. I can stop now, I can practice that skill, or I can practice indulging, going a bit further, really savoring the food and letting go of any of the guilt around it. Those are my choices. This is where I'm at. If you're starting to feel the binge urge rising, just calm. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. We're learning, we're practicing. And if you do indulge, you're just going to trust that your wonderful body knows what it's doing. It'll probably give you more energy later, or you'll feel fuller for longer, or whatever the case may be. You're busy working out your body's Goldilocks zone. And if you're starting to feel a bit scared, just come to that place of trust that your body will show you and guide you back to its happy, healthy place. It's going to be okay. And of course, there's nowhere more that you're going to need to practice the skill of radical self-acceptance than with your family. If you've come to a place where you've started to realize that things are different for you, your belief systems have changed, the way you feel in your body is different to the way it used to be, the weight that you're carrying might be different to it used to be, and family might have judgments and perspectives around all of that. This is the part where you have to stand in your power and in your confidence and own who you are and let go of all the judgments of others. And that's really tricky because when we're with people that we love, the people we grew up with, the people who raised us, it can be really hard to own our experience, our truth, our nowness, who we are in this moment, and really accept it, respect it, and love it, especially if we're in the company of people who are attacking it. So we're wrapping this all up. Feasts with family, big indulgent meals with family specifically, really are an environment where you are going to be practicing all of the skills that we've been speaking about. All of them are going to come into play here. And while you could go in with a lot of anxiety, do your best to change that into excitement. Excitement at the opportunity that you have for improvement. Remember, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. If you smash it out and you have the best meal, wonderful. This is what you're going to get more of. But if you go in with great intentions and excitement and it doesn't quite go your way and something hits you out of the blue and you end up failing on some level, with anything that you were trying to work at, maybe you end up in a massive fight with someone. It doesn't even need to be a binge or a purge. Maybe it just ends up as a disaster meal. You're trying something new, it didn't quite work, or somebody said something and you weren't able to let go of the headworms and let go of the shoulds or keep the story in your head or be in your experience, and everything fell apart. It's okay. You're going to get lots of opportunities to try again. Realistically, from now onwards, as you practice all of these skills, even if the progress is slow, meals with family are going to get easier and easier and easier and more enjoyable. And that's freedom. That's what it's all about. So be relentless, be conscious, have a strategy before going in, test some of these ideas out, and maybe just pick one or two skills to really focus on this weekend, or go with the whole batch. Whatever it is, it's your choice. And it's okay that this will feel a lot more exhausting than a normal meal, because you're having to put a lot of intentional, conscious effort in to trying these new behaviors, these new beliefs, these new skills. So my final piece of advice on big feasts with family, or holidays even, is because it's taking so much conscious effort to try new things, you'll probably be pretty damn exhausted. The mental fuel you're using as you practice all these skills and deal with all these things and try and do things in a different way is exhausting. And what often happens is if somebody's had a big feast on the Sunday with their family, on Monday, the binge urges come roaring in, because good old exhaustion is saying, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I just pushed so hard yesterday, and all I want to do is just not have to try today. That's probably what you'll experience if it's been a really tough one. So expect that the next day or two, you might be feeling a bit knackered, struggling to put the energy and effort into all of the practicing and all the stuff you're doing than you used to. And it's okay, because as the meals get easier over time, you'll have less exhaustion the following day, until it becomes a place where meals with family, feasts, might actually be a place where you energize yourself. And that's the goal, right? So it's okay if the next day you're feeling depleted. There's nothing wrong with you. It's understandable. You'll need to be a little more vigilant. Make sure you're setting your alarms, doing your tummy check-ins, and gifting yourself that rest if you need it. That's not the time to be overcooking it and trying to do 10 tons of exercise because you feel so guilty about the meal you ate the day before. That's actually the time to rest. Rest is best when you're exhausted, because otherwise those cheeky binge urges might come roaring on through. And we really want to make sure that your body doesn't continue to associate the exhaustion with binging. So that's going to be what's on the other side of these big family feasts, is a bit of exhaustion, a bit of not wanting to push so hard. And that's okay. Prioritize your rest and make sure you're checking in with your tummy, and take the next day carefully and easily. That's it for the strategy on big feasts with family. It is a lot. It is a lot. And I know you're going to start smashing it. I know you will, because you are relentless and you're still here listening to these videos, which means that you are one of the few who will move through this entire course all the way to completion, because you're so far now, you may as well carry on going. And if you forget all of it and it all feels a bit chaotic, that's okay. Remember, the only thing I really, really, really want you to get really good at is being able to bring your energy, your focus back to them. The time that we get with our loved ones is not guaranteed, and we don't know how much of it we're going to get. So be present now. Give yourself that gift that I'm sure you've lost so much of over the years struggling with an eating disorder. Really be with your loved ones. Be all there. And when you feel the mind spiraling or the binge urges are coming, bring yourself back. Remind yourself that this time with them is so valuable. So I hope you've really enjoyed that piece of advice. If nothing else works for you, that one will be a great start. Here is to building a future where family feasts become something you savor and enjoy, and you're present and you have no regrets around. It's time to let those regrets go and potentially even make up for a bit of lost time.